Okay, so we have Deontay Wilder versus Joseph Parker. I guess you can call this chief support for Saturday's big card. This is a battle of the former champs, and I feel like this is the fight that's most likely to deliver big drama. I'm very much looking forward to this one. I find this stylistic matchup to be intriguing, and I think there's a lot to unpack here. So I'm looking forward to giving this prediction. There's a lot of variables at play, a lot of things to consider. So let's get straight into it. Things to consider for me in this fight, this matchup. One of the primary things to consider is the inactivity of Deontay Wilder. He hasn't had a proper fight in over 2 years. He, of course, fought Tyson Fury in October 2021, suffered a hellacious beating in a great fight, a great back and forth. Deontay Wilder gave as good as he got, but ultimately came up short. Came back a year later against Robert Helenius. Could you call that a fight? I don't think. Like a one-round move around, splattering Robert Helenius. It looks great, but that's not really going to keep your momentum going. And so, in reality, he hasn't had a proper fight in over 2 years. And on the flip side, Joseph Parker, this is going to be his fourth fight of the year. And it hasn't been against great opposition, but at least he's been active. At least he's got momentum. At least he's been able to string together successive training camps and kind of stay in the fighting type of mind and keep his adaptations. And inactivity, from what I've seen over the years and what I've experienced, inactivity, obviously we know, can cause sluggishness, can cause fighters to just lag, the reflexes aren't quite there, that kind of thing, the timing's off. You have fighters like Wilder, who Richard Dwyer would describe as a fastball pitcher, a split-second guy, a guy who's reactive, who is, he's one of those guys who can change the complexion of a fight in a split second, in a moment. Fighters like that, I feel, are typically hindered by inactivity a bit more because of their makeup, because they are, 0 to 100 types. They need that time and they need that split second reaction. And, this wasn't necessarily the case with Helenius. Deontay Wilder really did his thing. That was vintage Wilder in the Helenius fight. But I think we can consider and we can agree Helenius was the perfect cherry pick for Deontay Wilder. And I didn't have an issue with that fight. Wilder was coming off back-to-back arse whoopings from Tyson Fury. That's the kind of fight you need when you're coming back from such bad losses. So Helenius was chinny, not great defensively, and Wilder was very familiar with him. The perfect cherry pick. So this is going to be a real acid test. How good is Wilder? What does he have left? Is he really still a top-level heavyweight? Because he's taken a lot of punishment. He's got a lot of miles on the clock now. He's within touching distance of 40 years old. How much does he have left? And are there any residual effects from those Tyson Fury losses? And Parker himself, he's taken a hard loss, at least somewhat recently, in September 2022 against Joe Joyce. That was a brutal stoppage, that fight. Again, the kind of fight that's going to put on a lot of miles on the clock. However, I suspect that Parker's got a bit left, quite a bit more left, because he's younger than Deontay Wilder by a good margin, I think 6 or 7 years maybe. And on top of that, Joseph Parker's just got a better defensive edge. I think in a lot of his major fights, Parker's been able to limit the amount of damage he's taken. He hasn't really taken all that much damage. If we put the Joe Joyce stoppage to one side, Parker's managed to get through fights without taking too much of a shellacking. I know there was a Dylan White fight, and Dylan White hit Joseph Parker with his money punch. That left hook that dropped him was something special. But Parker's a tough guy, and as I say, he knows how to get on his bike when he needs to. That being said, I think that this matchup favours Wilder. Only slightly, but I think it still favours him. Parker can absolutely win this fight. But I personally have never been impressed when Parker's fought an opponent that's taller than him. I've just found that whenever he's in that kind of matchup, he falls into a rut a lot of the time when, particularly when a big guy who's taller than him makes Parker advance, makes him come towards them. I don't think Parker's very good on the front foot when he has to advance. I think he falls into a rut of just swinging big looping overhand rights, usually missing. Then he'll just fall in and get held, and it's not very intelligent. It's not very cultured, and I think that's what lets Parker down sometimes is his IQ. I don't think he's the smartest guy in the ring, which is a shame, and it's very frustrating because he's someone with a lot of natural talent. Look at Parker's athletic profile. And there's a caveat, like look at his athletic profile when he's an appropriate weight. He's a guy who's well balanced, well coordinated. He's explosive. He's got quick hands. He's got quick feet, and he knows how to move. But I think his IQ lets him down because he doesn't always know how to apply it. I don't think he's particularly in that instance where he has to close someone down. I don't think he's really that great. And as I say, his weight recently hasn't been where it should be, I feel. Parker's definitely one of these fighters who lighter is better, obviously to an extent. He kind of fell into that trap of, I'm a heavyweight, I'm a big guy, I don't need to make weight, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, just because you're a heavyweight and you don't need to make weight, that doesn't take away from the fact that you still probably have an ideal weight. And I think we know that with Parker, his ideal weight is closer to the 230s rather than the high 240s or 250s. He's definitely someone who, to maximize his natural advantages, he needs to shed some of that weight off. And also as well, when he moves in that defensive manner where he's quite mobile and he limits damage quite well, his offense isn't really there. It's a defensive posture. And I don't think, even though he may be able to go the distance in a fight or limit the amount of offense or damage that he takes, it doesn't put him in pole position to win a fight. That's another thing that's been frustrating with Joseph Parker is he's a brave guy. Like, Joseph Parker has no problem getting in there against Anthony Joshua away from home, Dylan White away from home, Deontay Wilder. Parker's doing these things. Like, he has no problem. He is a warrior in the truest sense of the word. But it seems like to a certain extent, he'll get in the ring with these guys. He'll try and go the distance with these guys. But he doesn't always try to win, it seems. I don't think Joseph Parker's really the kind of guy to bite down on his gum shield and stick it on an opponent when he's behind. And I know some people, they take issue with that. They're like, oh, how can you say that you just have to grab a fight by the scruff of the neck? Like, it comes to a point where technique isn't the main consideration anymore. If you're behind in a fight, you need to become a dog and you need to dog your opponent out, in particularly when they have the technical and tactical upper hand over you. You need to stick it on them. And we saw that Parker can do that, or at least in part he can do that against Dylan White. He could have won that fight. He survived. I know there were 2 knockdowns in the fight, but he survived a heavy knockdown. And he was still in there, and he showed the heart to get up and carry on fighting, and then really try in the closing moments of the fight, and he could have won. But Parker just doesn't have that. He just doesn't have that dog a lot of the times, and he's going to need that in this fight because Deontay Wilder, if he smells blood, he will go after you. Okay, and when Wilder starts swinging those haymakers, if you get hit, that's it. So Joseph Parker is going to need to be a dog in this fight. I think he at least needs to have that in reserve, okay? Because he might be behind. I think with Deontay Wilder, he's the kind of fighter that he's most effective when he has time and when he has space and when you're somewhat stationary in front of him. So considering that, I think Joseph Parker's going to have to do a couple of things. I think he's either going to have to be too far away that Wilder can't reach him, which we know Parker can do when he comes in at the right weight, or he's going to have to be kind of bypassing that range of Wilder, so Wilder doesn't have the space to land the right hand effectively, but Parker can get up close and have Wilder in the trajectory of his shots. And now this is where I think the fight favours Wilder, because Parker, I don't think, when he's coming forward, I don't think Parker's great. I think there are holes there. I think he's sometimes just a bit too basic. And the fight starts at long range. See what I mean? So Parker could be moving around, but as soon as he looks to advance, I think he's going to be in some real danger. But the thing is, he has to take that risk. The thing is with Wilder is he has that split second type ability where even if he panics and throws a shot, it's hard, you know. And if it hits Parker, I don't think Parker's going to be able to stand up to too many of them. So I see this fight. I think Parker's going to be able to use his speed, use his balance and his mobility around the ring to really unsettle Wilder. So I don't see this fight going early. I don't think. I think this fight goes into the later stages. I can't see this fight going to points though, I've got to be honest. I think whoever wins, they're going to win by stoppage. But I see it going late. I'm thinking rounds 10, maybe even round 11, something like that. So I'm talking like the closing rounds of the fight. I think Parker is going to be able to buy quite a bit of time throughout the fight, maybe win the rounds. But I think Deontay Wilder is going to be trying to probably close him down. I wouldn't be surprised if Parker's maybe trying some raiding tactics, trying to take that risk and get past Wilder's firing line to get to him, and then moving off. But see, the thing is, I can't help but think about when Parker fought Jack Massey. Jack Massey is no Deontay Wilder. But as early as the first round, Massey was able to time Parker with right hands, and one of which actually steadied Parker. And bear in mind, Massey's coming up from cruiserweight, and he's not even a great puncher there. We're talking about Deontay Wilder, who can turn anybody's lights off. Wilder, yeah, he's got his limitations, but I think he's proven that he's a puncher. And so I think he will get to Parker eventually. Once Wilder maybe he's broken Parker down a little bit. Maybe he's landed a couple of right hands, but they're not the money. You know, they're not the money right hands, but Parker's feeling them a little bit. Maybe he's slowing down. And it wouldn't surprise me if Wilder goes to close the show and Parker trades with him. I think that's what we might see. I think this fight ends with both guys throwing their own punches, but Wilder's lands first. And we see a big swing and a miss from Parker as he takes a shot and goes down. So that's my prediction. I'm going Deontay Wilder by stoppage late in the fight, round 10 or 11. I think Parker will do well, and he's definitely a live dog. He's in this fight, but I just think ultimately the power of Wilder will catch him. As cliche as it sounds, but that's my prediction. Let me know yours in the comment section below. Exciting fight. So, yeah, we'll find out what happens. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you in the next one.